Hello?
Yo, what's up? I want you to hear my rap album.
Uh-huh.
Yo, what's up? My name is Curly G Cradle Rock.
Uh-huh.
So R.Kelly is back in the media. He's got a federal trial involving sex trafficking charges and pedophilia. An ex-employee refers to the situation working with him while he was quote-unquote mentoring Aaliyah as living in a twilight zone. Aaliyah dropped her debut album she began recording at the age of 14 called Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. That's the name of the album and one of the hit singles from the album. R.Kelly was introduced to Aaliyah when she was 12. They began a professional working relationship together when she was 14. He was allegedly her mentor. The details have been scrubbed from Wikipedia, but the relationship was widely publicized in the media at the time. And by the time she was 17, it was alleged that R.Kelly, over twice her age at the time, had fathered a child with her, or at least got her pregnant. Got her pregnant. Anyway, Aaliyah died in a plane crash allegedly in 2001. R.Kelly, known for wearing a Zorro mask. We'll get into the Zorro symbolism in a little bit, but if you watch some of these music videos with the sound off, you can realize how garbage this culture is. Strictly garbage, childish bullshit from a man who was into kids, but not so much kid stuff, more of a sexual predilection. So I thought I'd take a look at the spell. Many media outlets are reporting the Twilight Zone environment fostered by R.Kelly. So let's go over to Anagrammer. R.Kelly, Twilight Zone, anagrammed. Wet Zoril Nightly. Interesting. A Zorilla, or Zorilla, is of the French from Spanish word Zorro, meaning fox. Diminutive of Zorro. That's fox in Spanish. Many people know of Zorro as, well, a precursor to the vigilante hero. He was one of the first masked Avengers back in 1919. He appeared in Pulp Fiction. A year later, appeared in a movie. We'll take a look at some of that symbolism, but let's talk about this phenomenon of the anagram. So we have a reference to the Zorro in the anagram for R. Kelly Twilight Zone. Nightly wet Zorilla, getting wet on a nightly basis. Looks like he missed the message here. Nightly is spelled with a K, so that's supposed to be chivalrous and of honor instead of just getting wet nightly. I don't know if wet means smoking angel dust or has a sexual connotation, maybe a little bit of both. That could create the alleged Twilight Zone environment. Let's get back to Aaliyah here. She was a student of a performing arts school. Her parents pimped her out to R. Kelly. Not sorry, that's what happened. Legalizing hebephilia is still a thing that's happening. So before I unpack the esoteric symbolism of Aaliyah and R. Kelly and what this means for us, let's take a look at what they're doing in California.
For our first story today, we're joined by Alex Newman, our international correspondent. Alex, just when you think California can't get any freakier, it does. Our first story today is you have actually lawmakers in California who are proposing a bill, an actual bill, that would allow child rapists, if they're LGBTQ, to not have to register as sex offenders. Explain that for us.
I keep saying it. Just when you think California can't get any nuttier, any more ridiculous, somehow they managed to prove you wrong. And so now they've got this legislation. And apparently all the Democrats agree, and even some of the Republicans agree, that if you're a child rapist and you're a homosexual or a transgender or something like that, and there's 10 years or less of age difference, then you shouldn't necessarily have to register on the sex offender registry. So if you're a 24-year-old homosexual raping a 14-year-old boy, we can just leave it up to the nutty California judge to decide whether you really belong in the sex offender registry. And I think it's a good illustration of where the state of California is going.
Well, the scary part about this for me, Alex, is why in the world would you make that discriminatory distinction? So if you happen to be lesbian, bisexual, gay, or transgender, there's a different set of sexual rules for you than if you're homosexual? What would be the I mean, I think I know the answer to this. That's the privileged category, and you boring heterosexual people should be punished. But explain to me what their thinking is to the best of your knowledge.
Yeah, well, as I understand it, they're marketing this actually as a non-discrimination bill because they argue that, hey, you know, a 20-year-old man could theoretically have a relationship with a 17-year-old girl. They might get married, and you know, we wouldn't call that statutory rape. And so, why should a 24-year-old homosexual man who rapes a 14-year-old boy be considered a child rapist if the 14-year-old boy consented to it? So it's really very twisted logic. But you know, nobody ever accused California lawmakers of being terribly sensible or logical.
And is there any rhetoric? I mean, they call it non-discrimination. So the implication seems to be that there is a different sexual standards for lesbians, bisexual, gays, and transgender. There seems to be this argument that in that community, the alphabet community, to use the way it's been phrased by Dave Chappelle, the comedian, the alphabet community apparently has greater latitude, or they're more sophisticated, or children who are LGBTQ gay, if they're attracted to adults, we have to give them more leeway to have sex with adults because, you know, they're minorities or victims. If you had to answer this one way, what would be your argument?
Yeah, and that's really what they are arguing. They're saying, you know, we used to think sodomy was bad, and so that's reflected in our laws. But now we know sodomy is just totally fine and totally normal and totally healthy. You know, it's practically the same thing as heterosexual intercourse between a married couple, and so we should update our laws to reflect that. Now, you know, it's important to point out that even one of the key Democrats here has rejected this logic and has said that no, you know, there's no way we're going to do this and practically legalize or at least come close to decriminalizing rape between a grown man and a young boy. But this is where they're going with this, and you know, we've talked about on this show before, Duke. They're now trying to normalize pedophilia in California. So, you know, with each day that passes, they knock down more and more barriers, and that's where this is ultimately headed.
That segment aired over a year ago. In the time since, California has passed that bill earlier this summer. So that's a thing that happened. I guess if you're seen as discriminated against or misunderstood, a victim of some sort of persecution, then it's okay for you to have sex with kids. That's literally what's written into the law in California now. So this is a slippery slope we're on. And it began years ago. We have R.Kelly and Aaliyah working together in a disturbing relationship with a grown-ass man and an underage girl, celebrating that age ain't nothing but a number. People repeat the rhymes, get stuck in their head, then what happens?
I want to show you the thing I'm most proud of.
That's what I want to see.
Welcome to the 21st century bathroom.
Uh-huh.
Splash free.
Yep.
Look, first you got the snowshoes down there. You step on those. See how it lifts up? Okay, now watch this. You set it to your level of where your penis is.
Uh-huh. I feel like I'm with Howard Hughes right before the nails go big. No, I do. It's cool, though.
It's quite an advancement. I'm so proud of these boys.
You should be.
I am.
And where's
Look
the
at
can? Where's the shitter?
No such thing.
Well, what if someone has to?
Let them go home.
Then you lose customers.
Who cares? I'd rather have a no coffee buyer than a defecator.
How about the ladies? What do they got?
Let me show you.
Okay.
Look at this. Look at this.
See, this is smart. The ladies get to sit down. This makes sense.
No. They don't sit. They squat.
I don't get it.
Women don't want to sit. They're very envious that we can. They have pee envy, actually. Look what I've done for them.
Okay.
See? Grab onto these bars. Then these go in here. They don't touch anything. They're not touching. That's what they don't like. They don't like touching the toilet.
It's like a Pilates class, though. Is it hard?
You don't want to go too much longer than a pee time. I wouldn't stay here all day.
And the pants go where?
You know, I don't know. Whatever they do with them. Come and join me. Settle up.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Just grab on here?
Yeah, grab on here.
Let's see how we do it.
Yeah.
Oh, this one feels good.
Yeah.
This is empowering.
Yeah.
Just this body position makes me feel strong.
I'm really getting tired.
Did you consult women on this?
No.
They'll love this, though.
Oh, yeah.
I like the feeling here.
Yeah, okay.
The girls are gonna love it.
Where'd the title of the album come from?
She's running around the studio one day with her friends, talking a lot of smack. Talking about age ain't nothing but a number, girl. I was like, what you trying to say? So immediately I heard the song, you know, and I called her back 15 minutes later, told her, check this out. So we cut the track right then and there.
And for the record, you are how old?
That's a secret. Women doesn't disclose her age. That song can relate to a lot of people. Like if you fall in love with someone older, or if an older person falls in love with someone younger, it's really everyone can relate to it, not just one group of people. And of course, because we knew when I came out that age would be, you know,
the big thing,
an issue.
If it wasn't for the incredibly esoterically embedded dreamlike nature of reality, I probably wouldn't add laughter into the audio track on this video, and I wouldn't sample Curb Your Enthusiasm. What I see, though, is a bit of a taking the piss out of the general public that's guilty of a disgusting, mindless, zombie-like form of modern idolatry, as well as a little taking the piss out of the bad guy. In this case, R.Kelly represents the offender. So we have a disgusting offender, but we also have a nation of zombies who have worshipped media. Now, it may not be R&B and R. Kelly, but you celebrate media and worship it, which promotes something that has been going on for, well, just over a century now with the Zorro character. We've got a rich boy dressing up in a mask who then desecrates the bodies of his enemies and hides in a little cave and hides his face. And then we got R. Kelly, who tells you plain out in English, in music, what he's doing. He likes to seduce women that are with other partners. He's, you know, trapped in the closet as a pretty disgusting character. But, you know, he's suave, he's got a nice voice. He comes across as, well, he sounds kind of feminine when he sings, so people treat him like they used to treat other celebrities. They give him a pass, right? Everyone from Michael Jackson to Rob Lowe, they get away with murder and child molestation. Not just figuratively, they literally get away with this stuff until they don't. So this should be a good sign that R. Kelly's back in the media. It's not an opportunity to get all righteous and indignant. I just see it as a sign of the times. This childish bullshit culture is facing the music, figuratively, literally. Take a look at those songs that you worshipped. Listen to the contents. Realize that these patterns and rhymes are embedded in your mind. They're inside of your head. Right? I haven't read any Dr. Seuss for decades, but I can quote some lines from it. The rhymes stick in your head. We've been worshiping anti-heroes, kind of like Batman, who's based on Zorro. We went from worshiping the anti-hero.
You see, a guy like me,
Freak.
a guy like me, look, listen.
We went from worshiping the anti-hero to celebrating the outright bad guy as the hero. And all we need to do is paint them as a victim first. Right? In the Joker movie, Arthur Fleck is a bit of a victim of society. A corrupt criminal justice system, people who don't understand him and don't tolerate him. And then next thing you know, he starts looking like Harvey Milk. And then next thing you know, you're starting to believe you can fly, right? The anti-hero becomes the bad guy. They think they're untouchable. Zorro is a rich kid whose father owns the largest estate in California. He lives underground in the Fox Den cave. This is clearly where the Batman comic book came from, about 20 years after the first appearance of Zorro. He was known as dashing and handsome, and the ladies loved him, even though he carved up the corpses of his enemies. So we have someone desecrating bodies. It reminds me of R. Kelly taking the piss on his victims. These young girls that want to break into Hollywood, get close to fame. Or maybe they're just young little whores in the making and R. Kelly knows how to pick them, but it doesn't matter. They don't have fully developed brains. They're not adults. It's not okay. Even if that girl you know is going to grow up to be a little whore, that's shame on the parents who pimped them out to R.Kelly. So, desecrating bodies, no respect for human life, dehumanizing people and marking them. This has been going on for a century in the fiction amongst heroes. I mean, Zorro was a hero. Pretty sick stuff he was doing. Can't even show his face. R.Kelly has to show his face because they don't sell those Zorro masks in commissary at state prison. But here we are, taking the piss out of the culture that worshiped this trash and taking the piss out of the bad guy. So this is a good sign. Now, I posted a video not long ago on August 19th about the lab leak symbolism. The black lab taking the piss. Martha's Vineyard altercation between Larry David. In the comment section here, you'll see a little bit of decoding on my part. I'm not going to unpack all of that. It would be kind of outside the realm of this short video. I just wanted to talk on worshiping the anti-hero, creating the bad guy, now outright worshiping the bad guy. And you can see this all over the country. The supposed victim is becoming the enemy. We've got that with Antifa. They're antagonizing right-wing activists. We got Larry David taking the piss out of the whole thing. And there's some symbolism in this scene that I see mapping onto R. Kelly's video with Cassidy. And we have a woman that kind of looks like what Aaliyah might have looked like if she was in the Matrix movie and didn't die while filming that. You got Aaliyah coming back in the Matrix, and there's your lady pulling her skirt down to grab on the handlebar. Got a dirty handlebar mustache. That handlebar on those toilets in Curb Your Enthusiasm doesn't look too clean. Anyway, yeah, we got a dirty Sanchez joke in there. So let me wrap this up by saying, well, we live in a world that has a dreamlike quality. It's surreal. It's sometimes disturbing. It's embedded with a kind of sick joke at times. Right down to the Bible, we've got dick and fart jokes. So there's some sort of co-creative element or a muse that is sick. I've got a playlist about it here, which I did a video called Time to Kill Our Idols. That was about 1.5 years ago. I think we're in the process of doing that. And some people aren't quite getting the message as clearly as others. But I think the culture that we live in is worshiping the wrong things, and we've been waking up to this. So this is the good news. When we take a look back at some of these entertainments and some of these heroes and people we've put up on a pedestal, and I don't just mean superheroes, but I mean that does play a part in it. You know, the Tony Starks and Bruce Waynes are arrogant rich guys who have some kind of grudge. Batman's a bit more sick. He plays a kind of antichrist hero, polar opposite of Superman. So you got Batman in the form of Zorro, in the form of R. Kelly. He believes he can fly, but he can't. He's stuck where he is right now. As we disabuse ourselves of the anti-hero and bad guy as hero, as it gets so sick, it becomes so obvious that more and more people wake up to it. Our culture will go through some growing pains. And hopefully while we're going through some growing pains, the people in charge of the culture, directing the culture, won't just pimp us out to more R. Kellys of the world. But largely that's up to you, I believe. You know, I don't know Aaliyah, I don't know the situation there, but she was an intelligent young woman who also could have made some decisions for herself, and she chose to remain in a situation that was unhealthy. Maybe in her early 20s she decided to speak up on that, and that's why her small little plane with not many people in it magically crashed. But hey, that's a conspiracy theory, right? A lot of times witnesses to this disgusting system that's in Hollywood start to speak up, and then they have to either roll that back, like Alicia Keys did with her statements about the government creating gangster rap, or they disappear, or their careers are over and they end up in their own little corner ranting and raving and get promoted as crazy, like what they did to Dave Chappelle before he came back. Doesn't even look like Dave Chappelle anymore. Doesn't even sound like Dave. I don't know what they did to Dave, but he pushed the wrong buttons and had to take off to Africa for a while, was allegedly a crackhead, then came back 30 pounds heavier, smoking vapors and sounding different. Who knows what the hell's going on there. So you put the dress on, you play the game, you get pissed on, or you get taken out. And wow, man, glad I'm not in that situation. I appreciate the people that support my work here on YouTube by spreading the good word, providing some insightful feedback in the comments section, or you can hit me up over on Patreon, or buy some artwork or prints over at one of my outlets that it's linked to on the link tree in the bottom or at the description of this video, and help keep this independent media going. I appreciate it. So some of this stuff looks sick, but I'm able to kind of zoom out, laugh at it a little bit, because it's bad news for the Antichrist spirit that's getting persecuted. So some of these stories seem too big to believe, a little too ridiculous, but at the same time, these are patterns that are playing out. Whether or not they're true, the general public believes in the Epsteins and the Weinsteins and the R.Kellys. And on some level, although it generates a lot of unhealthy discourse on controlled social media platforms like Twitter or Facebook or wherever, and YouTube, take a look at the big picture. We're kind of hunting all these false idols and holding them accountable, and I think that's a good thing. So I'm trying to focus on the good here. So don't mind me if I take the piss a little bit. It's the intention here is to laugh at the downfall of the false idols. Laughter can be a weapon. One of these anti-heroes and false heroes is diminished when we laugh at them. So take the piss out of it, deflate it, flatten the curve, yada yada yada. Thanks for coming out, guys. Good night. God bless.
For my whole life, I didn't know if I even really existed. But I do. And people are starting to notice.
You think this is funny? Where'd the title of the album come from?
She's running around the studio one day with her friends, talking a lot of smack. Talking about age ain't nothing but a number, girl. I was like, what you trying to say? So immediately I heard the song, and I called her back 15 minutes later, told her, check this out. So we cut the track right then and there.
And for the record, you are how old?
That's a secret. Women doesn't disclose her age. That song can relate to a lot of people. Like if you fall in love with someone older, or if an older person falls in love with someone younger, it's really everyone can relate to it, not just one group of people. And of course, because we knew when I came out that age would be,
the big thing,
an issue.